We are live. This is day 1 of Lupus Awareness Month. May is Lupus Awareness Month. And I decided to do something a little different this year for Lupus Awareness Month. In the past, I didn't actually do it last year, but in the past, I've gone through, explained what lupus was and my own personal journey with lupus, how lupus affected my body, all of the details, that sort of thing. But I'm not going to do that in this, this particular month, because I've done a lot of that in the past already. So what I'm going to do is share those particular links where you can find out about my journey with lupus and chronic illness and all of the stuff that I've talked about in the past related to lupus awareness. I will link those particular videos that you can go back and watch in detail. But I wanted to do something a little bit more upbeat and inspirational for this particular one, because I think there are enough people out there talking about the sad side and the gloomy side of lupus and the gloomy side of having been diagnosed with a chronic illness, right? So I wanted to do a little bit more of an upbeat presentation, or for lack of a better word, event around lupus awareness. All right, so my name is Gina Wells, and I'm a complementary therapist practitioner, which basically means that I work with a lot of different therapies ranging from art therapy, sound therapy, herbal medicine or herbal therapies, aromatherapy, that sort of thing in healing from chronic illness. Because healing for me is a journey. It's not something that I get to and then I stop. For me, it's an everyday thing. There isn't a day that goes by that I don't participate in something related to my health, right? Because I think one of the reasons why many of us actually end up in a place where we're dealing with a chronic illness is because we have spent so much time just completely disregarding our health on a regular basis, right? Until the day comes when we're kind of slapped with a diagnosis all of a sudden, right? So, but like I said, I wanted to do something a little bit different this time. And the 31 days of May of lupus awareness is going to be centered around a book that I mentioned in the when I was kind of advertising this, and it's around this book called Fragrance After Rain by Dr. Jaiya John. And this book was actually given to me by a dear friend who I was helping to take care of, who actually passed away on December 26th of this past year. But she had purchased these for me, actually this book and another one by Dr. Jaiya John. And I opened them up on Christmas Day. Now, Christmas Day, she was not able to correspond or anything. She had already, gift wrapped them and everything. They were under the tree, and we had a little bit of a gift exchange. When I opened them up, I said, I know that name from somewhere. I couldn't quite pick up where. And then I realized that I had started to follow him on Instagram. So when I clicked on Instagram, I said, oh my gosh, that is where I've heard this name before. And my friend Nance had actually given me 2 books by him. And I'm telling you, this is such an incredible book. I actually use it kind of like a, almost like an affirmation type of book, or like a meditation type. I would open up a page, find a particular thing, and that would be what I needed to know for that day, right? So if you've never heard of this book, I'm going to strongly encourage that you find it. I'm going to be doing 31 days of lupus awareness centered around this book. And I have actually corresponded with the author, with Dr. Jaiya John, and let him know what I had planned to do, what I was going to be doing for the 31 days of May. So he is completely aware of what I'm doing with this book. But even with 31 Days of May, you could not possibly go through this entire book. So I strongly encourage you to go and get this book, or get any books by Dr. Jaiya John for that matter. Okay, so another book that you'll hear me make reference to today and possibly throughout, the month of May, is this one as well, called The Body Remembers. You probably heard me, reference something to the effect, the body keeps the score, right? So you'll hear a little bit of that today, and how that kind of helped me in my journey back to health, my journey of ridding my body of lupus, or um, how I allowed my body to kind of teach me through the pain, which is what we're going to talk about today, teach me the different therapies, or the direction in which I needed to go in order to heal on a regular basis. I still look at that on a regular basis. I'm not completely free of pain 24/7, right? I still experience pain, but not on the magnitude that I did many years ago when I was first diagnosed. All right, so Fragrance After Rain is the book that I am going to be referencing throughout this particular month of lupus awareness. So the overall topic of the month is this: she woke one day believing in her healing more than she believed in her suffering. Her soul rejoiced and flowered. And that can be found on page 50. If you happen to have the book, because I know a lot of people do, that is found on page 55. So that is basically the kind of the overall concept or topic for this particular 31 days of lupus awareness from my standpoint. Okay, this is just something that I was inspired to do. So it's going to look a little different. It's going to sound a little different from most of the lupus awareness challenges that are taking place right now. There are other videos out there that talk about my personal journey with lupus, and like I said, I will tag those in the video so that you can go and you can, see what I've done in the past regarding my particular diagnosis and how lupus has affected me personally. But I don't want to speak about that from the past, because I've come so far in my journey with lupus. I've come so far in my journey with chronic illness and in my journey back to health. So I don't want to live back there. I want to speak from a place of this is possible for you as well. All right. So that is why I chose to work with this book. And that is why I chose to speak from the standpoint that I'm going to be referencing as well. All right. So she woke one day believing in her healing more than she believed in her suffering. Her soul rejoiced and flowered. So let me start off with a story real quick. And this is kind of the moment where I realized I needed to do something, right? I was laying on the couch. My kids were outside playing, and I'm able to look at them through the window. And my daughter kept saying, "Mom, can you come out and play with us, please? Come out and play with us." And at the time, I was just so riddled with pain, there was no way that I could possibly move off of that couch, right? But that was the moment that triggered me, because it basically allowed me to ask the question, is this moment going to be the rest of my life, or am I going to do something about it and change my story regarding that, right? And that moment, that was the message that pain was sending to me. Is this going to be it? Is this where you're going to stay? You're going to live on this couch for the rest of your life, watching your kids grow up and possibly having grandchildren. I do have a granddaughter now. And, is this where you want to be? Or do you want to change the story? Do you want to listen to me and actually do something about what you're feeling, about the pain that you're going through, about this illness that you've been diagnosed with, right? So that was the moment that kind of propelled me into getting my act together. And you can fill in whatever other words you want to put in there. So that was the moment. And when I tell you I was in excruciating pain at that time, and I really had to listen to that message that pain sent to me. And the topic for today, this is day 1 of 31. The topic for today is pain is a tuning instrument. And that is found on page 221. So I'm going to flip there. 221 is where we're going to find the inspiration for today's message. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and read it. Pain is a tuning instrument. Use it to tune your soul to peace. Pain is the soul's determination to surface, to be free. Follow the pain in you, not toward the nightmare your fear imagines, but in the direction your soul, through pain, wants to take you. Do not walk your pain dog where you think you want to go. Let your pain dog walk you where it wants to go. Its senses are keener than yours. It knows where the clean water is, the good food, the safe places to rest or play. Peace is an eternal song calling to you. Use your pain to harmonize with peace. So that is from Fragrance After Rain, page 221. If you do have the book, that's going to be the inspiration for the talk today. So that piece right there, whenever I read that, it immediately took me back to that moment where I, lying on the couch and listening to my kids playing outside and them wanting me to come and play, and I just couldn't. And that moment was when I decided enough is enough. I'm going to do something about it. And several days later was when I actually got up off the couch. I woke up just feeling horrible that morning and got up, went with my daughter and my youngest son to a local herbalist. And it was, to make a long story short, it was at that herbalist store, after collecting what I needed to collect for my new journey, I ended up collapsing there, ended up at the hospital on the verge of a heart attack, and being told that a couple medicines that I had taken that morning should never have even been prescribed together. But I had taken them together because that's what I was told to do. And I ended up in the emergency room, right? And from then on, I decided I was going to really dive deep into my roots, as in my herbal roots, because I had grown up being able to go outside and, cut whatever plant I needed to cut to make some tea, drink it, or to make a salve, or whatever the case was, right? So I made an effort that day. I made a decision that day that I was going to go back to those roots, right? It took me a while to actually speak to my doctors about what I wanted to do because they weren't really supportive of that. Eventually, they kind of came around because they didn't really have much of a choice. But while I was there, the pain of going through that collapse, and let me tell you, it wasn't just a collapse. It was I passed out. I fell into a door. I hit my face on a wooden table going down. And then finally landed face up. When I came to, there were people looking at me, got taken to the emergency room. So I ended up after that with my jaw ended up kind of shifting. I didn't lose any teeth, luckily, at least not to that fall. And I ended up with lots of cuts and bruises all over my face, which I, had to heal from over the next couple of months. So all of that kind of propelled me to, yes, I need to do something about it. And I ended up writing an article shortly after that called Pain Gets a Bad Rap. Because I hear a lot of people talking about, pain this and pain that, and we have to take something to get rid of the pain, not realizing that pain is actually a messenger. The pain is there to tell you that something is wrong, that something needs your attention, that you've got to pay attention to whatever this pain is telling you, do something about it. And it's not taking a pill to block the pain. It's not taking a pill to get rid of the pain. What is the pain trying to tell you, right? So that's why I wrote the article, Pain Gets a Bad Rap, because so many of us, we kind of want to dull the pain. We don't want to address the pain. We don't want to deal with the pain because pain is just too much, right? When in fact, pain is the messenger trying to tell us, listen, you have got to listen to me. I am making you feel this pain because there's something going on and you have to deal with it. When you cover it up, you constantly cover it up, sometimes it just explodes into something even bigger, an even bigger issue. And at that point, you really do have to face it, right? So I'm going to tag that article as well called Pain Gets a Bad Rap so you can read about that. So, pain sometimes is big. I mean, sometimes it can be tiny little things, and then sometimes it's really, really big things, right? But either way, it's here to teach us and to leave us hopefully a little bit wiser and stronger and still alive. We don't want to wait until things get too blown up out of proportion before we actually address this, because like I said, pain is a messenger. If you've been diagnosed with anything, doesn't have to be lupus, anything, you go into a doctor's office, even if you're seeing a psychiatrist or you're seeing just a regular medical doctor, you go into the doctor's office on a visit, right? A lot of the times they will give you this chart, and or they may ask you the questions, how are you feeling today, pain wise, on a scale of 0 to 10? 0 being you're not feeling any pain at all. 10 being is the worst excruciating pain you can possibly imagine. And you have to fill in somewhere in there, right? But there's always some kind of a pain chart that the doctors will have you fill out. And I'm still filling those things out whenever I go to doctor. It doesn't matter. You show up there in the peak of health, and they're still going to ask you, and you can say the 0, 1, because a lot of the times I'll go there and it's not like 90% of the time I am completely pain free. I've gotten to that place. But periodically there is that gnawing sensation that tries to pop in every once in a while, but it's usually there to tell me, okay, you've been kind of slacking off. What do you need to do? Let's make some adjustments here. All right. So as a lupus patient, I became very familiar with these pain charts. And if you've been diagnosed with any kind of illness, you probably are as well, because that is a familiar thing in a doctor's office. Sometimes it feels that like there are more flavors of pain than coffee. You can add so many things to coffee, but there's so many different types of pain, right? There's those little pains, when let's say your child is graduating from college and or graduating from high school, going off to college. There's that kind of an empty nester feel, right? So that's not so much physical pain. It's more kind of an emotional type of thing that you might be dealing with. So your child is most likely leaving something behind, leaving you behind, leaving some friends behind to go off on their own journey from there on, right? There's the pain of failure. There's the pain of loss. And I know over the last couple of years, we've all experienced a lot of loss, right? With everything that has been going on and is still going on in the world today. If you've been diagnosed with lupus, you might have experienced the loss of health. That's pretty much what it boils down to. So you might have gotten to a place where, you wonder, okay, I've been doing so well all of this time, and now this thing has happened, right? And it's okay to feel that way, but it's not okay to stay there. It's that the pain is there to kind of encourage you to take the steps necessary to move on your journey of health, right? So like I said, there's so many different types of pain that you could possibly be experiencing. The idea is to not kill the messenger, to not block the messenger, because the pain is there for a reason. But so many times it's Look at pain as being kind of your alarm system, right? You program your phones probably before you go to bed at night because you want your phone to wake you up at a certain time so that you can, you won't be late for work or you won't be late for whatever appointment that you're going to. So look at pain as being kind of an alarm system. Where is that pain taking place? And if you're familiar with the traditional Chinese medicine, the place that the pain is occurring is there's a lot of correspondence with the type of pain that you're having in any particular area with something that's happening in your life. Okay, and we're not going to go into a whole lot of detail with traditional Chinese medicine here, but just know that if you want to kind of dive into that rabbit hole, you just feel free to do that. But there is a correlation between, according to traditional Chinese medicine, which they've been practicing for thousands of years, right? There's a correlation between where the pain is and something that is happening in your life at that time. So it's an alarm system, it's a messenger. So, don't block it. Find out what that pain is trying to tell you. And once you start to work with the pain, it cannot be the place where pain can actually be the thing that helps to fine tune your body, which is where what I was talking about, pain being kind of like a tuning instrument for you. So your pain shouldn't be ignored, right? When you start to listen to the pain, they actually become your teacher, and they become the place where you start your journey to thrive daily with pain, without pain, but journeying back to your health, right? With me, it took me a long time. It took me years because with when I was first diagnosed, my doctor actually it was a neurologist. I'd had some neurology workup done, and the numbers weren't pretty. And the neurologist actually looked at me and said, I don't understand why you're dealing with these kind of neuropathy issues. You're a black belt. I was training in the martial arts at the time. You eat healthy. You seem to be in the picture of health, but yet you have all of this stuff going on. And he said to me, I am going to recommend that you get tested for lupus. Well, my primary doctor actually didn't believe, that I could possibly have this stuff going on either. But he reluctantly sent me to have that blood work done, and it came back positive. Well, he still didn't believe those results, so he sent me off for a second set of more extensive testing done, which again confirmed this lupus diagnosis, right? But as I started on my healing journey and I did all the things, all of the natural things that I'd been, by this time I'd gotten certifications in a lot of them. I've been working with these different remedies for several years now. And I'd gotten to that point where I was fairly healthy. But there was something else there that just didn't seem to want to get better. And I couldn't figure out what it was. So I'd done all of the things, did all the therapies, learned all the things. But when I finally started to kind of let my pain dog guide me, I realized that there was something else that I wasn't really addressing. I had addressed all of the emotional stuff. I had gone to a psychiatrist and kind of worked through done the talk therapy. I'd done a lot of the physical stuff. I was working with essential oils. I was working with the herbs. Even though my diet at the time was fairly good, I still made some adjustments. I had taken Ayurvedic body type tests, made some adjustments to the food that I was eating. So I had done all the things. But there was something else there that I wasn't addressing until it hit me, right? And that's where this book comes in. The body remembers. I was taking a class and the teacher mentioned something about the energetic origins of dis-ease or illness, however you want to look at it. And that was when it hit me that there was so much more that I had not addressed. And a lot of that was trauma, because one of the things that people don't realize is that illness can occur as a result of trauma and your body kind of remembering the traumatic events, right? And then if they're not addressed, they just kind of bubble and fester within the body until they manifest in an actual illness. And for me, that was it. So once I started to kind of address what we call the shadow work, so to speak, or all of the traumas, and really started to heal from those, that is when the real healing began. And ironically enough, one of the passage that I read started off saying pain is a tuning instrument. And ironically, one of the instruments that I actually worked with were tuning forks. And if you're familiar with tuning forks, they come in like different frequencies. This particular one is 963 hertz, and then this one is 528. But I started to work with tuning forks, and I did a lot of research into energy work and how tuning forks could actually help to tune the body, because it helps to know where the pain is located is basically stuck energy. And once you start to kind of unravel that ball of stuck energy, then I don't want to say miraculously, but sometimes that's how it feels. It's like a miracle where that pain starts to kind of unravel itself. And when you start to really dive deep into all of the traumatic events that you might have gone through from time you were a child and even as an adult, when you start to address those and really truly heal from those, that's when the healing really begins. And it's a lot of work. I'm not going to lie, it's a lot of work. There was a lot of crying, there was a lot of forgiving, and forgiveness is not necessarily about the other person. If there was somebody else that did something to you, the forgiving was for you, because unforgiveness also can stay stuck in your body and manifest in dis-ease or illness, right? So that is kind of where I kind of want to leave off with that. If you are at a place where you have done all the things, you have tried all of the different remedies and just nothing seems to be working, remember, we are spiritual beings. You can do all of the physical stuff, you can change your diet, you can do the herbal stuff, you can do the aromatherapy, you can do the art therapy, the sound therapy. I did all of the things. I also went to a psychiatrist and addressed, certain things that were coming up at the time. But energetically, spiritually, that's also a big part. And dealing with the traumas is a huge part of healing. And many lupus patients, or lupus warriors that I like to call them, that I've spoken to, do not realize that, that was where a lot of their diagnosis actually came from, was something traumatic that occurred in their body. It wasn't necessarily anything physical that they were doing. It wasn't necessarily the horrible diet that they might have had. And like I said in the beginning, the diet, it can be as simple as that. For some people, it could be just a horrible diet that you've been eating for the last 10 years, right? And you change that around and it changes things in your body. But for some people, they had the greatest diet, were doing all of the things, but there was just that one something. And a lot of the times that is the spiritual aspect, that energetic aspect that need to be addressed. Basically, you figure out where all of your traumas lie and you deal with your traumas. You heal from them, and healing from your traumas, releasing all of those things that might have, planted themselves within your DNA or within some part of your body. Once you start to heal from those, then true healing actually begins. Right. So I'm going to end there today. And like I said, let me share with you the book again. This is Fragrance After Rain. And this is the book that I was, referencing. The Body Remembers. You can there's also another book called The Body Keeps the Score, which you can also find, and where it talks about how traumas kind of manifest as illness in your body. But I'm hoping that my story can help to, kind of propel you on to dig a little bit deeper, right? So the book that I'm talking about, that I'm getting my inspiration from, is Fragrance After Rain by Dr. Jaiya John. So the one we talked about today, let me just remind you, that was from page 221, and the title of today is Pain is a Tuning Instrument. So if you do have the book, or if you're going to get the book, that is found in page, and I'm going to go ahead and put it here in the chat so you'll know. Pain is a Tuning Instrument. It's page 221 of Fragrance After Rain. All right, so it's here in the chat. So if you do have the book and you want to go and look it up, please do. I strongly encourage you to get the book, because it is such a powerful book. It's an inspired book. Everything in here is inspired by, things that Dr. John has. Let me just put it this way: if you're not following him, you can find him on Instagram under that name, Dr. Jaiya John, and I do believe he also has a YouTube channel. And I did reach out to him. If you were just joining, I did reach out to him, and I did get permission to actually go through this book for my 31 days of inspiration for Lupus Awareness Month. Kathleen, thank you so much. She says it's a very inspiring time. Thank you. Yes, I don't want to do the same, type of gloom and doom for lupus awareness. I will share different videos that I've done in the past so you can see my journey. I'll share different articles so you can read about my journey as well and see just how far I've come in my own personal journey. So that's why I wanted to really be an inspiration for people now, for whether you're going through a lupus diagnosis or some other autoimmune condition, because that's one of the things with lupus. When you get diagnosed with lupus, there are all of these little friends that tend to hop along. I completely get it. That was something that I went through as well. So I wanted to be an inspiration to anyone who might be going through, this an autoimmune condition, that there is hope. There is hope. But don't forget that you are not only that, we're called human beings, but we're a spiritual being having a human experience. So don't ever forget that spiritual aspect of us, because a lot of the times, like it was for me, that is the part that we're missing in addressing when it comes to healing from a chronic illness. I will see you tomorrow, and tomorrow or at the same time, we're going to be talking about, and I don't have the note here. Let me tell you what tomorrow is about. Tomorrow is day 2, and tomorrow's inspiration comes from page 231, and it says, healing can be a joyful thing. Of course it can. So that is tomorrow at the same time. Healing can be a joyful thing, coming from page 231. Thank you so much for being here. I hope this has been an inspiration to you who were here on the call, or those of you who may watch the replay. If you have any questions at all, please feel free to pop them in the chat. I will come back and I will respond to those. I'll also be sharing, like I said, other videos that I've done around lupus awareness that have a connection with what we're doing here, as well as the different articles that I reference, especially the one that I wrote called Pain Gets a Bad Rap. And that way you can kind of connect, because otherwise I'd be talking here for the next couple hours, and we surely don't want that, right? All right, so I will see you all tomorrow at the same time. Thank you all again for being here, and I'm hoping that this will be truly an inspiration over the next month for Lupus Awareness Month.